What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Did you beat your wife? Did you kick a pup? We'll find your crimes and rake it up. Did you laugh at Hubbard? That's not nice, and now you'll have to pay your bride. So what are your crimes, Mark? What have you done? Oh, it's too late now. Fair game's begun.
I ain't afraid of no fair game. Oh, we're almost ready. Hey, I'm so excited. We have Lara FM with us. She's getting ready right now. I thought that she was.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Let's pretend it hasn't started yet.
I've failed.
All right. We'll play the theme song again, like it never happened. So it looks smooth, you know? So it looks really professional.
Oh, no.
Hey, we're going live. We're going live right now, aren't we? Yes, we are. Am I? Oh, there we go. No, that's not it.
What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Did you beat your wife? Did you kick a pup? We'll find your crimes and rake it up. Did you laugh at Hubbard? That's not nice, and now you'll have to pay your bride. So what are your crimes, Mark? What have you done? Oh, it's too late now. Fair game's begun.
Welcome to Xenu TV and this special event where it's Mark AM meets Lara FM, and I'm very pleased to announce here she is right here.
Hi.
Just really excited to be. Hi, Lara. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
You crack me up. You're amazing with your artwork, by the way. I totally stole that thumbnail. And then I looked close and it said Mark AM and Lara F. I just thought that was so adorable. And it's probably very appropriate because you're probably maybe more of a morning person. Although I am a morning person when it comes to work.
I did when I was just out of college. I was the morning guy on a radio station in Neenah, Wisconsin. Small.
Wait, Mark, you were on the radio? You were like a radio?
I was the morning guy. Spinning records, doing.
I should probably already know this. You've probably said this.
No.
Good.
No, I don't talk
learned
about
one
it that
thing
much.
so far. Just kidding. I've been researching you, Mr. Wisebeard man.
Well, my time on the radio was not.
I think that's amazing. Period. I think my grandma, from what I know, and I'm learning and loving even more and more every day about my life. But my grandmother, my father's mom, was the first female radio voice in Canada, in Toronto. And it was like the main guy that normally did it. She was always there helping. And this is something I'm like, what was my grandmother doing in a radio station? Like, I'm like, why don't I know about all this? And my band is called Lara FM. Like, anyway, so yeah, so I'm like, Mark was on a radio station. Mark, like, wow. Like, literally, you, I think I wish I would have gotten to know you earlier. Like, even when I first just left the Sea Org, things like that. But I really will get to it. But I was sort of afraid of you. That's weird,
really?
Guys. I know. Me, Lara? I was afraid of you a little bit. I was still very weird I was afraid of Bob Minton. I was afraid of Jesse Prince. I was afraid of all of the people that were on the Lisa McPherson trial or around it or protesting. So we'll get to that because I do remember seeing you and I was like, oh, that's the Wisebeard man. That's the honcho.
We did hear the rumor that was being spread around Clearwater that everyone at the Lisa McPherson Trust were really Markabians. And
what's Markabians?
Hubbard,
people that follow
Hubbard,
Mark.
No, although that's a good guess. No, Hubbard wrote about the Markabian invading fleet that I think was it the 5th invader force that tried to enslave TGX and this sector of the galaxy, and the good guys turned back the Markab. So yeah, we heard the
That's
rumor
where
that
it came from.
off-planet beings and Markabians. So it was exciting. Yeah, it's interesting to hear that, you know, that we, a small, little, adorable group of nice people were painted out to be such villains.
And not even painted out to be, but like I did this little sketch that your faces, your face, there was 6 faces everywhere printed on a big white piece of paper at the Clearwater building inside. Yeah, right before you open those doors, you know, and they had the car. You guys were out there across the street by the white line. You couldn't pass that white line. Oh my God.
That's
and
true.
and they had in every building, by the way, the Fort Harrison, before you leave, it's where the outsiders can't see it. But when you're inside and you're coming out of a building, they had a big piece of paper that had Bob Minton's face, Jesse Prince, Stacy, you, 2
Maybe
other
Jeff
people.
Jacobson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some other 2 other, anyways, it was 6 faces. It was nice and printed, very, very professional.
Well, cool. That's nice to know.
And so when I say I was afraid of you a little, I think my childhood fear was still there, and I didn't even realize it was still there. And I'm like, Mark is so nice. What do you mean?
That is understandable. You know, it's amazing how, you know, you get instilled with this stuff that the WOG world is a dangerous place to be.
That is 100% how every Sea Org Scientologist does feel. And even if you're a dedicated Scientologist outside, like let's just say you're well off and you came in later in your life or something, you haven't really been sucked up into every detail of how you're supposed to be and act and operate and what not to look at and whatever. I still think that there is this, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this, no matter what. I mean, I was just protesting yesterday at Blue. Sure. No matter what, they cannot hear the thing that you are saying that could be just the simplest thing. All day yesterday, I was like, please go on, you know, yelling. I wasn't saying, I wasn't like, I did say please multiple times, actually. Please take 10 minutes and go to YouTube. Look up Scientology high crimes. Look up child abuse Scientology. Just type in Scientology on YouTube. You probably will get the truth right there. I said, and I always say, don't look at Scientology.net. I said, do me 10 minutes. You'll know, you'll see I am right. I'm doing you guys a favor. So I have to now, I'm changing even my protesting things based on how even you guys did it, where I was poking my face out the 10th floor ballroom, Fort Harrison, staring at you guys because I was like supposed to be cleaning. I was the public areas cleaner, demoted from CMO. And I was staring at you guys because there was many things going on. I was demoted from CMO right after the Lisa McPherson case. And so I felt like, oh, I was doing such a good job. And then they put me back on my CMO programs operator post, flag crew programs operator. And then I ended up flirting with a public. That's a whole nother story. But that got me demoted from CMO. And then eventually they put me as a public areas cleaner after the EPF and everything. And there I was on the 10th floor ballroom, Fort Harrison, poking out the window, knowing I wasn't supposed to be looking out at all. They even had the boards, all the tornado things all boarded up because they did that to make it seem like, oh, we're preparing for a tornado. No, you guys were really heavy on the protesting during the Lisa McPherson case.
And it's so insane. I mean, our single message was basically, it's safe to look. It's safe to talk. And
one said look and one said Xenu. And I had no idea and I didn't even know how to say Xenu. I was just like XDN and you. Well, yeah, that sounds weird.
And you know, I don't know about the rest of those bums over at the LMT, but I was a sweet, lovable guy.
Yeah.
Still am. Although I am an SP.
This is true, and I.
So.
It's kind of blurred.
Very nice.
Cool SP TV family shirt, but
there you go.
Has dissolved a bit.
Very good. Well, I recognized it from your website, though, so I knew what it was saying.
Good.
Well,
but yeah, so there's I don't even really know where you want to start, but I'm overwhelmingly already excited to talk to you, not only because it's exciting and you're funny and all sorts of fun things, but you actually have a lot of information that you probably could answer on questions that I've had even listening to your interviews and just watching how you protested in the past and how you, I just literally was listening to you talk to a guy who got you arrested or something, and then later came up to you and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing, man? You're harassing me again? You drunk?" or something, you know? And so I was watching all that and how you slowly put in oh yeah, what have I done? Tell me what I've done that is so evil or whatever. And here you go, spit out like Lisa McPherson case. They did this. Well, they did this. And you're always doing it so calm and humbly, even though I'm sure you feel triggered in moments, or they're pissing you off, or you went there because they were protesting your house.
Yeah, and that was the first time I really encountered any Scientologists. I was going to
ask you how you got really into Scientology, like into it all.
Well, thank you for coming on my show to interview me, but I'll be happy to tell you. No, I found it fascinating. Just very quickly, back in 1980, 60 Minutes did a piece on Clearwater called The Clearwater Conspiracy. And they talked to a bunch of Scientologists here. It was all about how Scientology snuck into town and they set out to take it over, attacked the mayor, attacked people like Paulette Cooper, did all of these things that were uncovered in the FBI raids in the late 70s. And that was a huge story, especially in Clearwater.
Yeah. So I guess that right there was my question. I hadn't known if you had ever done courses or something, or if you were just an outsider this whole time. See, how cool is that? Like, for me, it feels good to talk to somebody like you that wasn't sadly tortured mentally every day 24/7. So it's like a different outlook, but yet you were still so close to it because you were probably one of the only people that I knew was reporting on it, really getting in the places they didn't want anybody getting into. So yeah.
It was the early age of video on the net when I started. And that was why when I jumped into this, like in 98, finally, posting some video online of TV shows that played here in the US, like 60 Minutes and things like that. I thought people in Europe would like to see these, and maybe some folks who didn't catch it live on TV. So I had equipment to capture the video and encode it and put it on the web. And that's how I thought I could contribute to this whole thing. And then I met Bob Minton, and he invited me out to a cult conference in 99. And he put a small camera in my hands and said, "Go ahead, film anything you want." So I followed them all around for the conference. And then after that, he bought me a professional camera and some editing equipment. And that's when I really started to get going. And I hid my face for the longest time, and I used a pseudonym online. First, I was Ben Wog. And then I decided to give myself a doctorate like Hubbard, and I became Dr. Benjamin Wog. But then once they found out who I was and they came to protest at my house, I decided, well, no reason to be concerned about this anymore, because I was panicked. Oh my God, they'll find out about me, and who knows what will happen. Yeah. And what happened is they came to my house, I pointed a camera at them, and they ran away. So it was like, okay, well, I can handle this.
Got to just get that camera in front of them.
Yeah. And in those early years there in Clearwater and in LA at that point too, 98 or 99 through like 2000, end of 2001, Scientologists were willing to say crazy things on camera, not knowing that it was being
that
shown
it's
to the
actually
world.
being, they kind of forget because it's probably what they're used to all the time. Oh, just cameras, without realizing they're being recorded. You are being recorded 24/7.
Right. And you mentioned that I must have been, startled or whatever by their bull baiting of me, but never. Because I knew this is something that Scientologists are trained on. So when they were bull baiting me, didn't have any effect at all.
Well, no, not really bull. I meant like when like I saw the video when you went to Celebrity Center and you were talking to that chick and you were like, well, I'm here because you guys came to my house and did that.
Oh, yeah.
So just that stuff, kind of like you're like, and then you see her see the camera and then she's like, did she try to like turn off the camera?
She did turn it off. I had to go back and turn it on.
I was wondering, I was like, whoa, there was a clip there. What happened there? Yeah. Weird. Like she thinks that she has no idea that you actually can't do that.
Yeah. But that makes it more interesting too. You know, oh, you're going to turn my camera off? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you.
Okay, good. So, well, now we know that you were not in doing the courses or any of the OT levels or any of that, and more just a reporter of somebody being like, why is this acceptable? Why is Scientology allowed to do this and take over Clearwater?
Yeah, it's a fascinating story, and it's a combination of three things that I'm interested in: science fiction, Hollywood, and cults. So this is a unique blend in Scientology. And the fact that when I moved to LA, I was right there in their backyard. In fact, I moved into a home in the Hollywood Hills at one point, and there was a Scientologist who lived there right before me. And she apparently didn't give Scientology her forwarding address because I kept getting all of her junk mail and the celebrity magazines and all this kind of stuff, reading ads for the e-meters and reading these articles from L. Ron Hubbard. And I decided, well, I'm going to go down and visit some of the Scientology buildings. So I went down to Big Blue and said, what goes on in here? And they showed me around, and I went to the L. Ron Hubbard Life Exhibition, which was wonderful. This Disneyland of lies.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The magnificent land of certificates, awards, and a pile of bullshit.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's amazing. And then eventually they found out who I was, and I've lived with it with no problem ever since.
Yeah.
But what's much more fascinating are the stories of folks who, like you, grew up in Scientology.
Yeah, and in the Sea Org, which is like even, more separated from the outside world. Even if you're a Scientologist, you're separated from the Scientologists, really.
So how long were your parents in Scientology before you came along?
So I was born into the Sea Org. I was born in Hollywood in 1986 at a place called the Wilcox. And that's where the staff in that time from Celebrity Center, which was on La Brea, I believe at the time, that's where they would staff all the staff from Celebrity Center at the Wilcox. And so my mom and dad had met pre 4 years before this or whatever in Canada at the Toronto organization. And David Muscat or whatever, she got orders that she was going to be, or, being part of the elite Int base executive strata or whatever. So the plan of some sort, from what I know, was that she, at 6 months pregnant, when she was 6 months pregnant, she flew from Toronto, Canada by herself to LA, knowing that she was not going back to Canada and that she was going to be at Int base and doing all of that. And then, so by the time she was too pregnant to fly back, obviously she had me at the Wilcox in the middle of Hollywood, which is Selma and Wilcox in 1986. So
you didn't make it to a hospital. It was right there in the Wilcox that you were born.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why they couldn't have brought me to Cedar Sinai or some, but yeah, because obviously I know why, but there's a lot of information there that I would like to ask people that happen to maybe know me or my mother as a baby, or my mother, giving birth to me there, and if there's anybody even still alive that would have remembered that kind of activity with a bunch of the kids that were there at the time.
Right. Right. Well, I got to believe that there are people who watch these streams that, there are people coming out all the time with stories.
Yeah. And I'm slowly learning more and more, sometimes faster and whatever. But yeah, any information on that kind of stuff, I would like to know. For all
yeah, I know the Wilcox because I actually went up to the roof of that building one time to shoot down into a Scientology event at the Celebrity Center. And somebody who lived there at the Wilcox, ushered me in and got me up to the roof. I had no idea that, of course, it was filled with Scientologists. That makes sense. At any rate.
So that's how then eventually my dad came over with my brother and sister, who were already being, groomed as little baby Scientologists. So they were already, my mom and dad met at the Toronto, Oregon, Canada. And then they had my brother and my sister. And then my mom came to LA under the orders of David Miscavige and all that, being that my dad and her were going to be part of the new, the executive strata or whatever, the new Int executives. So eventually, my mom, my dad, me, my brother and sister were all down here in LA, because they had me. So she was able to have a legal reason to be in California, because they didn't have their tax exempt status then.
Okay. So what was it like for you as a child growing up in Scientology?
If I look at it from a perspective now, like as being an adult, I was literally under constant hell, and it was normal. It was normalized. So as a child, I'm still like, I catch myself, why am I so sensitive when I watch this? Or when a mother loses her child and the child is looking for her, why am I so upset? Why does that make me so upset? So I learned so many emotional things about myself, and realized that my childhood really felt like I was living in a sort of calm hell, and that anything fun was exciting because we made it fun, because, we were supposed to be living in a sort of hell. And so it wasn't normal to even be making things fun. So turning work or silly, dumb things that wouldn't be fun to a normal person ended up being fun, because it was a freedom for us in certain aspects where we didn't, we weren't allowed to have sugar. We weren't there were so many things that was just for the sake of controlling the children.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I felt as
looking back then. You say it was a hell, but when you were living in the moment, was there a little bit different perspective that?
I feel like I felt like when I was being bad or out ethics, it wasn't me, and so I just know, as a child growing up in this hellhole, it was programmed in me that if something was wrong, or I felt angry or upset or anything about anything, it was my fault and I had to fix it. And I could get help from other people, but in the end, so it was just kind of I don't know. And then at the same time, I felt lucky that I was part of some group that was dedicating their lives to helping the whole planet and doing it the way they saw it would really work. And so, yeah, it's pretty shitty realizing horrible situations that I thought were fun or exciting were actually very abusive. And so I tend to find a lot of joy in things these days that could be.
So were you isolated from the log world? Were there other non-Scientologist kids you ever met and played with? None?
Nope. No, yeah. We were away. They sent us so when my mom had me in LA in 1986, you know, about the ATA and where all the kids and all that were kind of stored and not really cared for. So I was with those babies, and I was a child doing that until I was 4 years old, almost 4 years old. And then they were prepping us to go to the Int Ranch, this magical place with animals and mountains and rivers and so much fun. And it's going to be beautiful. And it's the perfect place for children of these elite Sea Org members to go.
It is over the rainbow.
Yeah. And so we had to make sure that our ethics and everything was cleaned up and we were presentable and ready. I just remember being like, okay, I did all the things, you know, I don't know. It just seemed like a big trip. We're going to the ranch to go to this. And it was so exciting. And I'm with my sister and my brother's also going, like, you know, it just felt like, okay, we went through, even as a 4-year-old child, I remember going, ooh, we're leaving the sort of not so ethical place to go to the good, high level place where we can finally enjoy the position and, you know, yeah.
And
I remember pulling up to the ranch and I was like, this is so shitty. I remember thinking that as a kid, like, this isn't what I remember, like, in my mind. And I was like, oh, I better not say anything. You know, I got the clearance to be here. So I was like, I just remember, and I remember Ariella Coleman coming out. And she was, I guess, one of the older children that had just gotten there maybe 5 months before or 4 months before. Because this was in 1990 when I got to the ranch.
How long were you at the ranch?
For 13 years, until I was 13 years old.
Wow.
11 years. Yeah. From 3.5 until and then I turned 13 and they were shipping me off to Clearwater.
So during those 10 years, how often did you see your parents?
I would say the norm would be, and if they were on schedule or their stats were up and they didn't have any TMs or quotas they had to make or events coming up, it was 2 hours on Sunday morning. For a good amount of years, like 6-7 years. And then before that, it was, they would pick us up in the middle of the night with the van, one run, pick up all the kids in the middle of the night, bring them over to the Devonshire, the Kirby, and one other place as like a drop off. And then we would be with our parents on the floor. You know, they would lay out a little bed, like blanket, and it was really fun for us. These were one of the moments that I was like, oh my God, we got to go to our parents. And they called it free time. We literally called it free time at this time. And during free time, our mom's going to pick us up and our mom's going to pick us up. They're coming in the van to pick us up. That's the one run from the Gold Base to the Int Ranch after their Saturday night renos day and all that. Because they do Saturday renos, which is all day heavy work, and the whole base does it, and nobody's excused, and blah, blah, blah. It's literally 16 hours straight day of hot heat, whatever work, gruesome work, didn't matter. Things that hadn't gotten done in a long time needed to finally get done. Flaps here, flaps that, whatever. And so it used to be, but then they said there was too much out ethics happening from the kids going from the Int Ranch to the parents' dorms. And then in the morning between that time and the morning, and it was out security, they were starting to toughen up and on the security, and you had to get permission to go to the Gold Base from the ranch. It became a whole thing. Like you weren't just allowed to wander on and just be walking around the Gold Base as a child now. Like everything was getting, real controlled. So yeah, we saw them for 2 hours pretty much was the time. Before Saturday nights, they'd pick us up in the middle of the night. We'd get home. I remember my mom would have the chocolate chip cookies or the dessert or whatever it was from Gold Base, the Saturday night cookies or whatever. After renos, they always had a big dessert. So she would bring stacks of the cookies for me, my brother, and my sister. with salt and vinegar chips. These are my two favorite things. Just memories, right? These are things that I definitely remember loving. And to this day, I love eating chocolate chip cookies with salt and vinegar chips. But yeah, so that would happen. She'd pull out because they're not allowed to watch TV. So they're not even really supposed to have any TVs, but she had snuck this little TV in the closet and would put it away and only pull it out when we would come. And I'd watch like some Tom and Jerry a little bit on the little TV, in the morning. And I just thought it was the most amazing time in the world. And then sometimes Aladdin. Those were my two go-tos.
Wow.
So that was that. And then that got cut down because we were getting older and more out ethics. So they were like, if you can, if you're, you're 13 or you're 14 or you're an 8-year-old and you're acting like an adult. So it was weird. They would demand that we'd act like adults because we're not children and we should be able to accomplish and do anything. But then they would say, you're being banky or if you're going to act like a child, we're going to treat you like one or whatever it is. And when it was beneficial for them. So if you're going to act like a child, well, there you go. Like, and so they started saying like, they would cancel my free time to be with my parents if I was out ethics that week. And I would literally be like crying, like waiting for Renee Berther to fucking let go of my wrist from holding it. Like, you are not going. And I was like, yes, I am. That's my mom. I'll tell her what you did. Like, I was so pissed. And like, so that always happened. There was always like an approval. Like we were standing at attention in muster, waiting till the governess IC would tell us, okay, they would see the kid of the parent come off of the bus, the one school bus that it's a school bus that the Int Ranch, it was parked at the Int Ranch, but the school bus was used to traffic the children and the adults to make it look like a natural, real school. But that wasn't the case at all. The reason there was a school bus was to make it look like we were a school and that it was normal. The school bus was just used for upstat awards and the bus run to bring the parents to and from because there was too many parents that would have to squeeze into the small van that they had in the middle of the night or Sunday morning. And some of the parents wouldn't fit or they would get pulled over or something would happen because they would be overloading the vans, which they always do still to this day. With Sea Org members and everybody, the vans, the buses, all of them are completely fucking overfull all the time. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer to that. If I got permission, if I was ethical enough, I would see them and I loved them. It's so weird to say, like, doing the therapy and learning all this stuff and learning through Jesse Prince's witness, the, expert witness book and everybody's things that have been doing this for so long, you sort of come up with these answers and you're going like, this is normal. This is how Scientology wants it to be. This is the way they can control people. So yeah.
Yeah, it is astonishing. Now, we in the WOG world can hear that, oh yeah, they consider children to be old beings in small bodies. But it's so bizarre to actually realize how you get treated that way. And I mean,
if you can, for the chat, like if you guys can mock up, like think about, is mock up a Scientology word?
Well, yes, but mock up, is said in the real world as well.
Okay. Like because it says, I've realized I've been mocking up my own reactor mind and I'm going to stop doing it now. That's like the EP of Going Clear. So I didn't know if mock up was like an L. Ron Hubbard fucking Looney Tune word.
It pretty much is, but mock up, I think, is maybe I've just been saying it for so long that it seems natural. But I'm pretty sure it's used in the real world from time to time, not as often as it would be in Scientology.
Yeah, and we're going to mock this up. Okay, what was I saying about that before mocking up?
I had talked about the old beings and little bodies. And
yeah. That's the norm. And I was going to say for chat, if you could imagine literally grown adults, all different ages of adults, demanding and instructing children to be saying, yes, sir, no, sir, and then making them do it to the other kids. I had to call a Jenna Miscavige, who was only 2 years older than me or a year older than me. I had to call her sir. I had to call everybody sir because I was always a bad cadet, an out ethics child that was refusing to not be a child. I remember
suppose some of this stuff.
Sorry. I remember an adult got so mad at me because I forgot to say sir to her because Renee Berther, she had just become an adult from a cadet because she had turned 18, not because she had the intelligence or the schooling or anything to be an adult or the certificates to be taking care of children, especially when she was abused and groomed herself to become this really hateful, fucking aggressive, you know, they called them the governess IC in charge. And she herself went from being a cadet who was groomed into all that and didn't get proper schooling and education, and then was now abusing really badly, spanking the fuck out of all of the kids, including myself. I got along with her sometimes I didn't. And so there's this real hard thing that happens as a child because you're trying to negotiate what's happening in front of you and what you're always doing wrong when it's so shitty that none of this should be happening. And it's so torturous. That's why I mean it feels like it's just, I can't even believe that I made it through. And I say that really sadly for the people who didn't, for my friends who haven't.
It's amazing how much fear is built into Scientology, and how this angry control issue seems to come right down from the top. You know, you learn within the Sea Org that, you know, you want to get something done, you have to swear and shout and curse. And I remember Stacy
and kids. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Kids were doing that at the Int Ranch. They were like, "Get the fuck up!" A 7-year-old or a 10-year-old to a 7-year-old. Get the fuck up now! I'm not telling you again. It's like some fucking weird shit. And I will someday be a part of some film or movie that makes a movie about this, because they'll be like, "Was this part true? Was this?" Yes, every fucking part of this was. Even The Master. I think that was a great film to put into a movie of some way. The Master.
Yeah.
R.I.P. What's his name? Who was L. Ron Hubbard? Who played the part?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. But like, to do a movie, like, it's really hard to take these images out of my head, out of our childhood memories, and try to be like, "Oh, remember this was so fun though." Da, 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 da. And then somebody will be like, "Oh," and I'll be thinking, why aren't they like thinking that's as funny as how I think it is? And they're like, "That was really sad."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, those were my moments of joy.
I remember when I was at the Lisa McPherson Trust, Stacey Brooks was the president of the LMT, and she was in the Sea Org. She spent years in there, and she would occasionally go on one of those tirades. And I was in her office one day when she was on the phone with somebody, and she was doing the screaming and cursing at somebody. You got to get this done, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was at all. But this went on for maybe 5-10 minutes. Had nothing to do with me. I was just sitting there to finish our little conversation. And then when that was finished, I left the room, and we had two cleaning ladies who were there, and they had been hearing all of this. And they looked at me as I came out of the room. And, "Are you okay? Are you all right?"
They thought
no, it wasn't at me. No. But it's just insane that, you know, you feel, "Oh, this is how you command somebody. This is how you get something done. You got to scream and curse."
Yeah, I mean, it's worked for me both ways since I've left the Sea Org and Scientology. You know, it's worked for me where I've been like, "No, don't fucking do that." And they're like, "Shit, just listen to her." You know, like some people that thought that they were just gonna roll me over. I was like, I'm fucking showing you how to fucking do it, and you better fucking listen, because it's literally like every word, fucking fuck. But what is so disgusting and cruel about this is that children were doing this at 5 years old. I was having a screaming tantrum, you can call it that, but I was being physically fucking abused by the security guard, Kenny Campbellman, at the Int Ranch, and he was dragging me for a mile. There's like where they would make us do laps and run back to and from the Campbell house. That road we had measured out was one there and back was 1 full mile. So I knew that what he was doing. I'm like, dude, you dragged me all the way from the Campbell house all the way to the security booth, which is like almost 2 miles. And I was screaming and kicking his shins and doing everything I could. And the fucked up thing is I don't even remember. I think I was running off or blowing, as they say. And he was on his motorcycle, dirt bike, coming to get me. And I don't even think I was, it was like, I don't even think there was an upset between me and the security guard. It was him doing his job, coming to get a kid that was running off. And then I wouldn't get on the motorcycle with him, and I kept running. I was so upset at whatever had just happened. And then he fucking parked the bike, turned it off, and started fucking running after me with his clunky belt, all the things, and he fucking tackled me. So it's just like, and then after all that, I had to apologize to him when I was allowed to see my mom that Sunday morning. And she was like, what is going on? I've been getting phone calls. And I had to go into his security booth where all the shotguns are and everything I was so afraid of, and tell him I'm sorry. I can't get
That's
over
so
that.
nuts. And I had been wondering, you know, do the parents know what a nightmare this is? But
I will
they're
give the
living their own
parents
nightmare.
this much benefit of the doubt, where they didn't get told definitely all the stuff that was going on 100%. But the amount they did know, they got totally reasonable with, even if they were completely not okay with it happening when they first heard it. All of a sudden, it was like a policy letter was given, you know, to the governess, or from the governess, Renee, my fucking abuser, Casavius Tabioian at one point too, you know, like, they gave the policy letter that was typed directly by L. Ron Hubbard. So this wasn't a David Miscavige order. And it said the governess made, I literally had to word clear, because I kept arguing with the governess, whoever it was that day, whoever was put as the adult in charge. Oh, she's the governess today, so you take the orders from her or him. Yes, sir, whatever. But there was 6 things that it said the governess may do. And one of the things it said the governess may spank or discipline the child or cadet in any way that he or she sees fit. Period. L. Ron Hubbard, Commodore.
What a great man.
Yeah.
What a humanitarian. If only
and then
the entire
imagine
planet
all these. You talk about these. Well, the way you said all the awards and how amazing. I was just like, it's just so shitty, because there's these lies about L. Ron Hubbard riding a Bronco, or fucking a bucking Bronco when he was 4 or 3 years old. And, you know, at the end of World War III, I had an almost non-existent future. I had to like listen to these lectures over and over and over again, because I clearly had misunderstood words all the time, because I kept committing present time overts. And that's what it means. If you're committing overts on a daily basis, you have misunderstood words. So I was constantly in ethics, word clearing, or listening to lectures over and over again. And me as a singer today, one of the reasons I love music and art is I mimic voices and I mimic sound. I mimic things that I like or that I think should be in the song. If I can't play it, I'll sing it, and then I'll twist it and make it sound like a guitar. And then later somebody playing that guitar or line will be like, oh, were you on an E there or not? I'm like, I have no idea. That was my vocal. I was not playing the guitar. I just, things like that. And so I would mimic L. Ron Hubbard's voice. I can mimic the way the lectures that I kept hearing over and over again. And so, I was like blinded with injured optic nerves at the end of World War II. I had an almost basically almost died, which is bullshit. So there's all these things like, and then to come out of it all and people are like, well, L. Ron Hubbard was kind of a good guy. I'm like, in which fucking way? In what sense? Not just give me one clean, clear example. Not a good father, not a good fucking auditor, not a good nobody. Like, you're good. I don't even know if he was that good at conning. I think he just had everybody else get smart around him and come up with good ideas. So,
well, I mean, he had to flee from town to town and actually leave the continents entirely to go on a ship for 10 years because everyone was after him. So he was not a pillar of the community in any way, shape, or form. But those plaques there at the L. Ron Hubbard Museum, all those fine little commendations from different mayors and even President Clinton, I think, was on display up there. Yeah. I had a chance to show how that was done at the Clearwater City Council back
I saw that. I watched all that. 2000. And I know that because they got John Travolta to come and visit Bill Clinton and kiss his ass and PR his ass, and then got him into Scientology because Clinton was all about celebrities.
Yeah.
As we know.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so in terms of like, even like, that's a big question at the beginning of this interview when you're like, so how did it feel being a child in there or whatever? It's like, again, where do we start? At what time? Because only certain point, like, would I feel happy that I got to see my mom after I argued with the adults and this whole thing? Yeah. Like, even though okay, since you let me see my mom, I'll get back to doing the trenches.
Doing the trenches.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine it.
All the irrigation for the ranch. I was putting the PVC piping and the gluing. I'm still good at it today. Like, can't take that away from a young adult.
Yeah. Good Lord. Yep. And meanwhile, I was sitting at home watching Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and all that kind of stuff, and had no idea that there was this type of activity going on in the country.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually on one of my, we're kind of talking about some of the things I'm writing down, but I was going to ask you, did you know or hear about the cadets or the Int Ranch cadets, or did you know about children? Did you know about the Clearwater kids, the cadets in Clearwater?
I
cadet orgs?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You learned that. And I was going to say, because
sure.
At some point you were something having to do with the German reporters, and the German reporters were a huge thing at the Int Ranch. The kids knew all about the report. It's the Germans. We would literally say, the Germans, we have to go. We would literally be running. We were drilled. We were trained and drilled, training drills, literally to, they called them intruder, fire drill, blah, blah, blah. But when the German reporters came, they would say, the Germans are here, intruder drill. We would treat the Germans like an intruder. And so we would literally go run and hide in the nearest spot inside where we couldn't be filmed or seen. That was the training drill, and hide and no talk, no sound, be absolutely quiet.
Good Lord.
So
the Scientology's own duck and cover.
They flew over multiple times, though. They tried multiple times to get any footage. And I'm telling you, Mark, I was the kid digging the fucking trenches with Duncan Alsop, Anthony Bolstad, Darren Bolstad. I can name all the cadets. Gayla Gualteri, Vanessa Delderfield, Christina Webster, and Gwendol. And we were all digging trenches. And I have this really loud whistle. Renee Berther went off. She left to go spank somebody or bring somebody go to the bathroom or something like that. And so all the cadets were sitting there, and one of the older cadets was put in charge of us. And all of a sudden we hear, and we hear it. that humming noise means that's either a plane coming up over those mountains, because we're in a valley, we're in the canyon. So you can hear a noise far away, which also makes me understand that the Indian reservations would always be calling or call. There was plenty of calls like, hey, is everything okay over there? We hear some pretty foul screaming, like, you know, and it would be like a kid arguing with one of the adults, or they were being forced to do something they didn't want to be doing. And I'm telling you, when we had tantrums, they were adult tantrums. Because we were trying to get through to an adult that was abusing us. And that's how we felt as kids. Like, you are fucking hurting me. Stop. Like, so we were vicious. But anyway, so back to Happy Thoughts. The German reporters came over and we didn't know what to do. We weren't ordered. We weren't told. We didn't have okay to go and do the intruder drill. We had to get ordered to do it. So we were like, well, we don't know who they are. Just keep going. And so we were digging trenches. They flew off, and my little rebellion ass whistled like really loud. I whistled really loud, and I started waving to the German reporters, and they came back, and Renee Bertha came over, get inside. And you heard the security horns, but they did a whole horn thing. And then, so the German reporters, that was like, that's what they were trying to get, is kids actually physically working with all kinds of tools, doing jobs that literally a tractor that was sitting not even 50 feet away could have been doing for us in 5 minutes. But they wanted us to do the gruesome, hard, heavy work and learn lessons.
Yeah. Even getting a shot of you waving at them would have been something good for them.
I'm wondering, so I was going to ask again, if I could get in touch with that German reporter who filmed that and was there, that would be really, 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 really cool.
Yeah, I'll send you his email address. I only met him that one day when he was in Clearwater, and I went with him as he was trying to get an interview over at this Scientology artist's home. You know, and that's when the guy came out with a hammer and tried to chase us away. But that's the only real interaction I had with him. Oh, that was fun. You know, they asked me to come along just so I could shoot some footage of them going to the door and knocking, just in case there was trouble. And then there was trouble, and the guy came after me with a hammer, hit my camera a couple of times. Did you file like a battery or any of that, or were you just not? Well, it's a long story. I won't go into it, but I've talked about it on my channel. You can find the whole gruesome story.
Okay.
Essentially, the police weren't really interested in a guy coming after me with a hammer. They were more concerned that I was disturbing the neighborhood. And I had been working with that Bob Mitten guy down at the Lisa McPherson Trust. So I was the troublemaker.
Like, what cop gives a fuck who you're fucking working with? Like, what? It's so Scientology. It's so...
When the cops are making money on their off-duty hours for Scientology, you know, and they're being fed all these stories about how dangerous we are and what criminals we are, there was a bias that developed from it. And it took 3 officers before anyone actually looked at the videotape of the incident. And even then, the police did not go over and ask for an ID from the hammer guy, even though first thing they did was ask for an ID from me and from the 2 German filmmakers. They got our IDs, but him, and that guy gave him a fake name and a fake birth date and a fake social security number.
Which was probably given to him by somebody in OSA.
Yeah. And then there was a newscast that night where they showed the video on a local station. And at the end, the anchor said, and Scientology says they have no idea who this guy was. And we looked him up in one of the Scientology magazines, and there he was completing courses. So I called the police and said, well, here, you might want to consider this, that they're lying to you. And they did go back then the next day and ask for his ID. And he had been wanted on a drug trafficking charge in Key West. And he got arrested over that and was shipped down there and spent a year in jail from that. But let's not bother asking him for his ID when Bunker's here. He's the troublemaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the insanity of it all.
Yeah. And that is Scientology. They will it's so weird because people go, well, like, why did your mom get into it? Why did your dad? And I'm like, they were good people. They got y'all don't understand what programming is, what hypnotic MK Ultra uses are doing to adults, let alone children who have undeveloped brains. Like, what do you mean? How did we get into this? We watched our mother and father bring us into it.
Let me check one thing here because I have not been looking at the comments.
I'm so sorry. Neither. I feel so honored. And
I've been so entrenched in this, and we've got some starred questions.
We'll take a little break here. Yeah, we'll take. Remember, I'm interviewing you, Mark. So we're gonna take a minute and take some questions here.
There you go. So right from the top here, Miss Chicago Jane, when I saw this, Mark, I was like, I have to see these two together. Much love to you and Laura. Laura, I guess they mean, oh, geez. What you do with Laura?
What? I just completed OT7.
Wow. So I think she's referring here to the image I made for the thumbnail. And Haggis Basher agrees that our beautiful Lara and wise beardy man look great in that thumbnail. Let's see. From Haggis Basher, that lady and all the little Laras are why I am an advocate / activist. Ashley Ramirez. Ashley points out there's a bunch of SPs in the chat here. So thank you all, you SPs out there, for joining us. You've got some appreciation here from Nicole Yeg.
Laura is an interviewer. Oh, in interviewer mode, LOL.
There you go.
Because I don't want to waste Mark's precious, amazing time.
Literally born in Scientology. Yep. Does it matter to me? Thank you so much for being a member for 6 months. God bless you. I really appreciate the support here and also gifting 5 more memberships. It's great because, you folks are keeping me housed. So anything you need to help. Let's see. Robert Tobias says, I guess it seems normal if you know nothing else when you're growing up in Scientology with all that madness.
Well, scientifically, wouldn't it? Wouldn't your brain?
Sure.
For example, even our names. I knew myself as Megan. Thought my Lara, my dad, my mom calls me Lara, and my dad calls me Lara. And my dad named me, so I stuck with the Lara. But I think he now doesn't even remember. But one of my transformations from coming from Megan, that Megan Anderson, Megan Lara Anderson, when I went and got my ID in the Social Security, officially, it said Lara Megan Anderson. And so it was really nice to be able to shift my singing and my music as Lara. And it kind of allowed me to be able to say what I wanted, but hiding it through, obviously, the songs you hear now, without really saying it. But if you know, then you know what I'm singing about. So, there's very much if you were born somewhere else, you wouldn't know. If you were born in another country and not at the cadet org, you wouldn't know about the people in the cadet org. So it's wild.
Absolutely. It's all indoctrination of some sort. We all go through something that says, okay, this is how you be a member of our society.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're not in some destructive group like Scientology where really excessive. You got a Lara membership from AZ Crimson.
Thank you.
Christina says, you're a weirdo and I love it.
Yep.
JB808, my pal, says, I still remember the radio show Mark played where the grandma called in to talk about the abuses that her grandchildren had to endure in the cult. And that was back in 1990. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, every once in a while on one of these radio shows, somebody will get through with some personal stories that are just so shocking that the host would have no idea that this was actually part of it.
Wow.
So does it matter to you? Not to me, says mock-up is more used in COS than in the real world. That's true. It is, but things do get mocked up in the outside world too. Philip Jones is here, and none of those kids chose to be in the Sea Org.
You know, I don't know if you know of this, but one of the things they did with the cadets at the Int Ranch when they were shipping us all off to Clearwater is they had Mark Yeager, Ediant, Guillaume Lesev, Mike Rinder, all the executives, you know, Angie Blankenship, there was like 10 executives, Biddy, a bunch of executives at the Int Ranch, like turning over everything and being like, you know, we weren't sure if you chose to be in the Sea Org. So are you really ready to join, you know, be a part of the Sea Org in Clearwater? And like, you're going to, like, they were like trying to make us feel like, you know, you're strong enough, right? You don't need your parents. You're going to be good. You're going to be good. Yeah. And of course we're leaving the ranch after 10 years. For me, I'm like, that's my whole life. To me, it was like, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to join the organization in the outside WOG world. I was like, ooh, I'm ready. Anything like, I was like, I'm ready. No, I'm totally fine. Anything different from this is great.
How old were you when you joined the Sea Org?
I was born in it. I was born as one of the babies.
Oh, so
my mom was in the Sea Org here in LA.
They signed the, okay.
They signed it. No, I signed it at 4 years old. I do remember at the Int Ranch with the red crayon. I signed it at 4 years old, and then they made us all do it again, I think at around 8 or 9 years old. And then before they shipped us off to Clearwater, they made us re-sign them all again with a bunch of other paperwork, which I have no idea what fucking said.
Good God. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
Let's see. From Reintegrated Audi. Thank you. Comment, hey, chatters and lurkers, I will repeat the YouTube instructions. Like, subscribe, share, set notifications to all. God bless you. You know, that would make a nice song. Just saying. You do you, but I should do that. You know, I have to turn to AI to make my music. You have talent. Let's see. I think I read this already from Philip. This is why we know Scientology is an abusive organization from all the stories there of your childhood. Kelly says, you know, we all tune in to watch and participate with the second gens, and we think we get it, but the damage and the hurt goes so much deeper. And that is so very true. Snotface. Hello, Snotface. It's so disgusting. You get trained to not have emotions, and when you do have them, you get punished. It's it's like cults are nuts. You know?
Yeah,
there's something irrational about them.
There's the whole not only that, they go, well, come in session to, like, come on, this is a safe space. Tell us what it is. So then you finally tell them, and then you get in trouble for it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, you literally just told me.
So Bridget, never in from Pennsylvania, I guess. And this is what the cities of LA and Clearwater are 100% complicit in. And that is a shame because, you know, in the 4 years I was on the Clearwater City Council, I certainly tried to make the point that we should not be ignoring all of the abuses going on just blocks away from us here. And yet it's so much easier to ignore it. And Nadia Beeswax, Minion 75 says, I always cry when Lara tells her story. I was getting a little teary myself when you were in the midst of that. Ice to see 33. Sorry you went through all that, Lara. LRH was a loser all around. There wasn't a single ounce of that fella that wasn't a loser.
I agree.
Kelly says this kid has more skills than most adults know how to do. I'm sure that if I read that again, I could.
This kid's had more. I think you meant kids, Kelly. This kid had more skills than most adults know how to do.
Well, yeah, but Kelly's so busy. She doesn't have time to actually, check the spelling.
Kelly.
She's keeping this moving as, I'm just blabbing away. Amy M, I hope you talk about this at the next LAPD meeting.
Yep, I'm going to be there next Tuesday.
Great. Bridget Neverin from PA again. Man, I'm so happy for Lara being able to get closer to answers for questions ahead of time. Had her entire life. Okay, again, I could go back and.
Man, I'm so happy for Lara being able to get closer to answers for questions ahead of time. And her entire life. Of her entire life. But yeah, thank you, Neverin from PA. I understand. And it is like, and I don't know if you remember, well, I know you do, but remember when Mike Rinder, Bob Minton or somebody hit Mike Rinder in the head with a sign accidentally, or Bob moved his head into it and then over exaggerated it.
It wasn't Mike Rinder. It was one of the security guys there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe I just got confused.
Spin around and fell down to the ground.
Mike Rinder did the announcement or something for the base briefing. We had a base briefing.
Oh, okay.
And it was all about the protesters. Wow. And there were pictures of your guys' faces everywhere inside every main thing so that people knew. Yeah. And of course they put the most glamorous shots of you guys up.
Oh yeah, they are good at that.
Yeah.
It's fun to see all the smear websites, and they don't really have one up about me. They had one up for just a couple of months, way back when, and then they took it down. But they did leaflet my neighborhood back in March of '99. I woke up and one of my neighbors called me and said, "Are you Mark Bunker?" I said, "Yes." "We're supposed to fear you." And I knew.
Oh, exactly that's funny.
That point,
fear this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beware Mark Bunker. He is not who you think he is. And luckily, at the bottom of it, they did acknowledge that this was being distributed by the Church of Scientology, which is rare. They actually, so everyone got a good laugh out of it. JB808 loves the thumbnail. Let's see. Miss Chicago Jane. Lara, Mark is a very informative guy. You have so much information for him, and he has information for you. This needed to be done. Great interview. Love you both.
Thank you.
Both of us love you back, Miss Chicago Jane.
Yes.
I want to thank everybody who's here and joining us for this. I'm having fun, and I hope you all are as well. Does it matter to you? Not to me. If it's all you're taught, it's all you know. It's hard for never-ends to get that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also it's not just children. Like Scientology, like people don't understand. Like a lot of people are very like, well, they're adults. And I feel shitty for the adults because yeah, they're adults, but Scientology's auditing and their manipulative tactics and their control of your finances and your lifestyle will bring you to the point where you find it in yourself. And this is what they want you to be reasonable about horrific fucking things. And part of that brainwashing and auditing is TRs and communication and saying you can't do this and you have to act this way. And so it actually is so corrupt and so poisonous. The auditing and Scientology is so poisonous to humanity that it even corrupts adults' minds and their ways, and their way after they know they've had choices to not be in it or not. It's like, and you put beginning to when you begin to start a course in Scientology is the beginning of the hypnosis.
And you put your own blinders on when you're on the bridge, because you know if you have a negative thought, it's going to show up on the meter. So you refuse to even look at these things. Oh, you mentioned that earlier. Trying to get somebody at the org to look up this or that or the other thing.
I do a lot of the really all day you're going to be auditing body thetans, really. Like, I just do that, like, for the rest of your life, and who's going to say when you're done? You? No, you're not. So how much more money are you going to invest in this? You don't know. I'm like, it's a scam. Like, so I'm always going back to that. I go to the body thetans because they're doing that. They're literally with their case. I know this shit. So it's just really interesting to be like, casually say the most thing that they're not supposed to be talking about at all. And just casually be like, oh, yeah, this is how you're going to really clear the planet. Mm-hmm. What happens when you're done with the level and another BT pops in?
Yeah. Somewhere around 2011, I think, I did visit the Museum of Death, the psychiatry museum that Scientology has. And I took my cameraman with me. We just took a little small camera in there and we were shooting some footage of the exhibits. And at the end, I came out and was talking to the guy who's at the counter there. You have any questions? Yeah, I do. So I was asking him about Lisa McPherson, and they're talking about mental illness here in this exhibit. How about the way Lisa was treated? Do you think that's right? And he had no idea who Lisa was. So I told him basically the story of how she was held for 17 days and all the stuff that went into that. And I said, now that you know that, would you be interested in looking it up on the web, finding out more? Nope. Not going to do it.
False data. It's false data.
Yeah.
It's N theta, false data, and black PR. Those are the three things they say the most when you come to talking about. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Ann Battle says, Mark, thank you for all you do and have done. And Lara, don't stop shouting the truth. We do have mics right now, though, so you don't have to shout at this moment.
Thank you, Ann.
Rochelle, you can only go with what you know until you learn differently. Isn't that right? Well, that's true for all of us.
Yep.
But
learning.
You don't have people systematically keeping you away from the truth generally. Robert Tobias says, question for Lara. I know that you are on a mission to free your father, but did you ever think, fuck it, and move from LA and just try to heal from Scientology? Or is protesting itself healing?
I like LA because of all the struggles I've learned from LA. LA is a pretty shitty place in terms of manipulation, finances, corruption, the LAPD. It's pretty poopy. And like the whole industry, look at P. Diddy, look at all these people who have been, what's his name? Freaking Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell and
okay. I know you're talking about.
But these are all, and the movie producer who was fucking raping everybody, and it's just like Epstein. Thank you. It's just like it. I hate to say this, but it kind of makes sense. All these people getting called out. Danny Masterson. The way that I viewed Danny Masterson when I was out of the Sea Org, not Scientology, my mind was still, I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll ever go up the bridge. Then, I just thought, I wonder if the bridge will actually help me or not. And I was like, but I wasn't I was not interested in doing courses because I wanted to do music and all these new things in the world. I want to go on tour. I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I don't care about Scientology. And that's one of the first things in Little Red, my first band, Little Red Radio. I had been on tour and I was sad at the end of the tour when I realized I was coming back to Los Angeles to go back to my life. And my dad texted me with his approved beeper cell phone. Just kidding. Like telephone text. 333 me. Oh, that's B. Okay, and then C. Just kidding. That's what we have to. You could page somebody through a phone. You could page them,
Really?
and it would. Yeah, if you do it right. We did it in the Sea Org in Clearwater. You pick up a phone and you press star something when you're paging somebody in a certain way. I forget it now, but you would press something, and then if you pressed 2, for example, twice, it would do the letter B. It would send, in the phone code, it says ABC. Okay. So 2 would be B, right? Or whatever.
I got you.
So I don't know where I was going with all that. I get very sidetracked when it comes to all of this nonsense. But yeah, pagers, beepers, always paging 911, 911, 911. And you're like, yes, what is it? Get Michael down here now. Like, just like we would be like when you needed an executive needed you, they would page you 911 and then the number you were at. Call now. And it would be like the dumbest thing. So like everything was always on edge. So yeah, sorry. We're getting sidetracked.
So
your dad texted you. Sorry. I'm forgetting my story here. My dad texted me on the phone back. He messaged me on the pager phone through how he knew how to message me back ? From like my tour. And the saddest feeling went over me. I thought I didn't like my dad anymore because I was like, I don't want to hang out with you. I just had so much fun on tour. I kind of get upset thinking about it because I in that moment, I realized this always bugs me. In the moment, I realized I didn't not like him. I was just so mad that I just in the last month had so much fun and learned so much about the world and people. And I just had so much fun at South by Southwest and like performing. I just was so sad that my dad knew nothing about any of this. And he just know, oh, good, the band's going well. Like, and then like, I felt bad that I was annoyed that I didn't want to hang out with my dad because he had a day off that Sunday or something when I got back. And I felt bad that I didn't want to hang out with him. And I just realized I was mad and that is when I started like kind of trying to tell him, like, I'm really into my music right now. I don't really I actually was telling him that for like 3 years. I was saying like, no, I'll do Scientology soon. And so he kept being like, oh, did you see this new quote? It reminded me of you. And it would be like a quote that L. Ron Hubbard wrote about art or something. And so, yeah, we had that thing for a while. And so, yeah, the pager back. And I just felt so like, I don't want to talk to you. You always have a screen on when I want to tell you my emotions. And when I do tell you my emotions, we have to figure out how to handle it instead of you just hearing my fucking emotions. There's always like, oh, we'll fix this in the in session or fix this with the MAA or yeah. So I was very sad about that. I remember feeling that. And so, yeah, that was like music and all that made me start to question myself and start really looking into, all the I started watching, God, there's so many fucking names. The actor, Jason Begay. I watched his interview. You did that with him, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was you. Yeah. So that's when I was like, oh, this Jason Begay, who was once in freaking Clearwater, and I was the MAA. I was his like ethic. I was sending him as approval to his next level. Like, yep, he's good. He's cleared through celebrity office. He's cleared through the president's office. Let's move forward. Sign up. Oh, my cute friend is calling me. Sorry. She's so cute. She's literally a kid, Sina, born and raised as a child in the cadet. Cool. Yep. In Scientology. She was on the Aftermath Foundation episodes, one of the episodes, but her story was completely fucking edited and cut out. She's been through so much. Anyways. So yeah, I forget where I was, but yeah.
I was not close with my parents. I can't remember any conversation that we ever had, other than
Good.
know,
That means you don't have as many traumatic
and eat.
fucking experiences. Shut up and eat. Well, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So you
Although I
weren't
was thinking,
close?
no, I mean, I was
Why? I
more of a
wonder
hermit.
why.
Well, mom used to shout a lot.
Okay.
Dad drank more than he should have.
Okay. Yeah, I see where we go now. So
Anyway,
you were better just being in your little space.
yeah, I would hide away and watch TV or play Yahtzee. For some reason, I was doing solo Yahtzee in my bedroom for forever.
That just reminded me I would play solitaire cards
Yeah.
all the time.
But I just thought of this yesterday that I went home when I was on the radio at that point, and I stopped back at my house for back at the parents' house for something. And Dad saw me as I was getting out of the car and going into the house, and he had a big smile on his face, happy to see me for a change. And I was in a mood. I just and went in and got what I needed and fled. And 2 days later, on the radio, I said, "And I want to wish a happy birthday to my dad, Charles Bunker. Happy birthday, Dad!" And then a little bit later, the station manager came in to say, "Mark, your dad's birthday was 2 days ago." So that was the day that I blew him off. And it's like,
Oh
well. Not the greatest tragedy ever, but
no, Mark, literally the other day, my friend, I won't say who, if you know, my friend of mine literally called her dad, and I was standing there like, he better fucking say happy birthday. And he was like, just talking to her. And then they were going to hang up. And I'm like, I was like, it's her birthday. And then he was like, oh my God. Anyways, but like, I just like, yeah, that's just, it's amazing how little DNA, when you have a father that your DNA connected to, there's like, there's always some cleanup. There's family generations of like upset and not being heard. And then now you're mad at your son for not being close with you as much as you want and things like this. And it's just like, yeah, so I totally get it. I've learned a lot, even being in the cult and everything as a child and being the adult that I am now. I've learned a lot about so many ways that people have lived their lives or not been close with their families, and they're beautiful people and things like this. So it's just, yeah, life is strange. It can take you in many random places.
And since we're talking about your dad, can we show this footage? I found this remarkable. You were, this is outside with the Shrine Auditorium. Is that?
Oh yeah, this is when I saw my dad. Yeah.
And it had been how long since you saw him prior to this? I think you say something like 5 years.
Yeah, it was about 5 years. It was when he basically I basically emailed him after him coming to my loft multiple times and unannounced and waiting 2 or 3 days outside my art loft. Like when I was on tour or doing a show out of town, and the neighbor would be like, I still have the letters from my dad. And they would just be notes like, hey, was waiting out here for you. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, anyway, so yeah, finally it got really bad where he was like basically try to show me my mocked up declared suppressive order. Like this could go into effect. And then at that point I was like, fine, then do it. Like, Dad, you need, and whatever. We had something where we were fine when he left. And I'm sure when he went back to post with the results he had of me saying, like, fine, I don't need to be a Scientologist and we can get along and I'll respect your fucking thing. But I'm not going to continue saying I'm a Scientologist and go to ethics and go to Celebrity Center and be told that I can't work with certain producers because they're connected. I'm not doing that. And I was really emotional and hard. And then he was okay. And then that interview with the Over the Rainbow, you know, that phone call I had with him.
I did watch that. Yeah.
That happened. And so, and I think that ended very bad. Just how it ended. It was very not resolved, very awkward, very like, we don't like each other. And because, you know, the thing is, when we're talking, he's trying to say, I understand how you feel, but I can't say that because I'm being heard. And I also, it's not okay that I understand you. It's not okay. I'm being glib. I'm being reasonable. I'm allowing you to talk bad about the Sea Org. He even said, when I said that, in the interview of the Over the Rainbow, when I said that, like, Dad, I just wanted you to be a dad, not a Sea Org member. I was trying to say that in the most loving way. Like, I was trying to say, look, you can be a Sea Org member when you're a Sea Org member. When you're with me, I just want you to be my dad. And he said, that is so condescending. Those jabs. And I'm like, you're breaking my heart. So that was the phone call. And then I kind of knew where his position kind of was. He knew mine. I sent him an email like, I'm fucking doing my life. And if you want to be with me, you can leave the Sea Org at least, because you can't be with me when you're in the Sea Org. So that was the last message I sent to him, and I never got a response.
Yeah. If folks haven't seen Over the Rainbow, is that it or Under the Rainbow?
It's over the rainbow, but I have some sort of bad feelings about this documentary because I spent 5 years not doing anything, not going on the Aftermath, you know, Scientology and the Aftermath shows, which I'm glad I didn't now, but those are my own reasons. But the point is I was waiting for the producer of this film to fucking put out a documentary about the kids and the detailed abuse and the constant shit and the auditing and everything. And it felt like, to me, just to like, not to be, I've gone through a lot of feels about this now. It's been a minute, but I just feel that he was corrupted or moved in some way. And the documentary ended up not being anything to all the amount of time and hours we put in interviewing and my friends who I got on to be in there and like telling none of that. And same with the Aftermath Foundation, the show, it chopped a bunch of my friends' stories up. And I was like, this is not talking about the children. This isn't talking about the deep connection that is ruined and split apart with families in the Sea Org or in Scientology. If David Miscavige thinks you are a hot topic for Scientology or a hot fucking a hot donator, something like hot, meaning they need you, you're a Scientologist, you're going to be with us or else, then they will do anything to anybody, including myself, no matter how well they know me and how close my dad or mom's relationship was. They will do anything to make the person who is loving that person to dislike or hate the person that they're fighting for. That's what they do. They rip families apart in the way of mentally not allowing you to love this person that your DNA and your pull is just wanting to love and comfort. And you're just being ripped away for no reason. No reason. What did I do, Dad, really, to make a father not want to be with her daughter? Come on. Like, I am so fun. And my dad knows it. We always had fun together, even for the 1 hour or the 2 hours that he would have off. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I still have hope, even after all of this. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, he has to decide that, you know, the rest of his life is more important than the bridge. And that may come soon and may come later. Hopefully it's going to come at some point.
And it's not just my dad either. My mother is trapped at Gold Base and she's been there.
Yeah.
Same with Liz Ferris's dad, Bob Ferris. They're all stuck there. They can't fucking go anywhere. Rosemary was stuck there until she was pulled out of it in a legal way to get her out. She probably didn't even want to really leave. She probably felt guilty that she was leaving when she did want. And then so I just love you, Rosemary. If you're watching, I love you so much.
Well, it does take some particular struggle that you as an individual Scientologist have to face where you just say, that's it, I can't take it anymore. What was it for you that said, I'm out of here?
It was like I would say it was like three things. It was like a combination of things, but the three main things was I lost the excitement about going up to RTC or going to Gold Base. I actually didn't want to ever go back to, not even back, but the ranch was 10, a short 15, really easy drive from Gold Base to the Int Ranch, which is also pathetic why the parents only saw the kids for 2 hours on Sunday. 15 minutes away. They were 15 minutes away for 10 years of my life. And the only times they came to the ranch was when they had the 2 hours CSP. They later changed it. We're calling it CSP. We no longer, it's out PR to call it free time. That's what they said. It's out PR. Talk about changing language, like changing the definition of infinity or affinity. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going on a roll. Sorry. Mom stuck at Gold Base. Dad still was the last I know at Blue. Last I really know was at Shrine Auditorium last year, and I think you have the video or the link that I sent on my channel. There's many. I think there's like two or three other live streamers that were filming. So this is just my live stream, and I think my friend Jen or Jacob Harkey or somebody was holding my live stream as I was. Anyways, there's a longer. You can go to my channel and look, and you're gonna have to scroll down for all the way to last year to get it. But yeah. All
right. Well, let's take a look at that right now. Oh, that's the wrong one.
Oh, yeah.
I got that ready to go.
Out at me. Get out at me, or... Oh, my God, it's my dad. Bill Anderson. That's my dad. That is my dad. Somebody film this. Jen, come here. Dad. Bill Anderson. Oh, my God. You literally cannot believe it. That is my father. That is my father. Oh my God, Dad, I love you! Oh my God, I knew it. I'm so happy he's here. Who is this from? Oh my God. Dad, I love you! Oh my God, guys, that was my father. Oh my God, is this my live stream? Guys, that was my father, Phil Anderson. Now I know he's here. Yes. Are you annoyed? Careful, guys. I'm very aware. It's okay. They're backing up. No, he needs to go forward, not backwards. He just gave me flowers. It's okay. Go forward.
So that police officer, both of them were telling us we couldn't go on the sidewalk because Scientology lied and said they had the permit.
When was the last time you've seen him? Oh my God.
They didn't have a permit. I could have actually walked with my dad on that sidewalk.
Really?
I could have been walking
before
with
I got
him.
Declared. Oh my God. I'm so happy I just saw him. Guys, I'm fucking freaking out because I thought I would see my mom. And I thought my dad was no longer, oh my God, he's in dishes. He's in the dish. He's in the galley. This is such a flap right now for the Sea Lord that I just saw my father. Did you see that? That's my father, Phil Anderson. How are you okay with this? You just stand there? Like, that must be horrible for you.
What about for him?
you?
He's not even allowed to talk to his daughter.
He wouldn't even look at. He is in shock right now. He's in shock right now. He can't believe that I was saying. He couldn't even believe that. First of all, he heard my voice, and then I said, "That's my dad." And I almost was like, "Is it weird to say Phil Anderson?" I cannot believe this. Guys gives me so much hope because now I know where my dad is. And I've been wondering where he was for the last 6 months. I wasn't sure if they shipped him off somewhere, and I just saw him. He's in the galley, and that means my mom is probably.
It's pretty sad that I was so excited that he was basically still alive or something.
Guys, I'm so that was my dad.
Well,
that's my DNA dad.
I think it's understandable.
That's my real dad, born and raised. He was not. He heard that voice. If I said Phil Anderson, as a normal person, you would have looked. He heard me right. He saw this. Right when I came out. He knows
who else
exactly
calls
who
dad? Dad.
Wow.
He knows it was me.
Wow, that was amazing. That was a breakthrough right there.
All right. Well, that was amazing. It's startling to see a father just walking past and not acknowledging a daughter.
That's
That's Scientology.
I wish he
He's
would have
not your
said, like,
dad.
I can't. Something. I wish he said, I
Yeah.
can't. Not allowed to, or something.
Right. Right. But that would have got him in trouble.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure he got a pat on the back by Dave Miscavige and said, good. You did a good job. And we're never letting you out again because of that. That's why I also feel bad, because now they're not going to let him in any public site.
Yeah, DOA Loves Rainbow says that that night was so sad that he cried while watching it.
Sad, it's shitty. It sucks. It's so hurtful. It felt so hurtful, but then I felt so relieved. I was literally having mixed emotions.
Yeah. Listen, let's turn to your music.
Okay.
Did you always want to? Were you always writing music?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know what that even meant. I didn't know any of that. I just really started doing music and writing my own music like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But I was in that band Little Red Radio, and that was my first, band. And like we were just writing random songs, and that got me out into the world and got me on the whole, like, oh, there's labels and this, and like got to learn about all that. And through all that, I started working with different producers, and the producer I worked with on Dream Love and some of the songs on La La Land was able to like allow me, not even allow, he was just so like, oh my God, Lara can sing anything. She could make any, and I was just like, that's so nice. Like, but he was serious. He wasn't even saying it as a compliment. He was just being like, oh my God. And look what she did here. Like, and it just felt so cool. I was like, wow, I knew I could I know I'm this. Why am I shy to try the thing that I think I'm good at? Or like, and it was always because society and even the industry and Hollywood is always putting you in a box. It's always saying you have to be this to make today's, this is what's happening. This is what the trend is. This is that. And I was just like, I don't give a fuck about a trend. I want to tell this fucking trend story about Scientology that constantly repeats itself every day, beating each, abusing people. All of it just repeats itself. And I was just like, why is it exciting to do anything else when there's literally a cancer in our society right in front of my face that I just got out of? That's kind of my
what percentage of your music is actually part of your activism? Is it largely about your experiences?
I don't know. I mean, I was doing music before I started doing any activism.
Okay.
Artivism, as they say. Artist activism. I would say activism really started about the Scientology stuff maybe only 5 years ago tops.
And what spurred that on?
The last phone call and stuff with my dad. My uncle, his brother, who was the senior, has international. He died from colon cancer. My brother was doing really bad, and my mom and dad were just fucking ignoring him and like try to send him through Narcanon and all this shit, and didn't work. And so I just felt so fucking upset and mad at them. And I was like, I don't know, like even your firstborn son, my brother, like you're not going to even fucking help him. Just certain things where I was just like, who are you as Scientologists or SEER members, as human beings, if you're not even fucking, appreciating or caring for the family you created?
Yeah. Yep. Well, we got a peek at it already. Why don't we listen to one of your songs here, which I really enjoy this one. This is nicely produced. Who put this video together for you?
I did. I do all my videos. I do everything, but I put all the producers and everybody who is on the set and doing the lighting and the makeup and all that. There's a bunch of different producers, but I met him literally in a Lyft ride on the way to rehearsal. And he was kind of like chatting. Oh, I just moved. And he had like black fingernail polish and kind of edgy and fun. And and he's like, oh, I edit videos. Anyway, so we talked, that conversation sparked off like, yeah, oh my God, that'd be awesome. Showed him the song. And then we, a few months later, did the video. He got a bunch of people that worked on it. And then I had my idea, my theme, the space, the outfits, the whole, everything visually that you see was all me. And they did all the cameras and the visual look of it.
I mean, it's an impressive video. Let's take a look right now. That is terrific. Let's get you back there. I really like that video. And you've got more music videos on your YouTube channel and a lot of live performances too. How often do you go out and do a tour or do appearances?
It's random, but recently it's been like once a month, maybe like March. I had 4 shows in March.
Oh, good.
2 desert shows out at a festival called To Be Continued Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a quick local desert festival out there that it's mainly just like if you're, going through something, or it's that time, the society needs a little break and they just need music and a quick run out to the desert and have a festival and then come back, so that was really fun. I went, I was able to sing new songs that I haven't even released yet. So that was really fun. And then, do that. And then I played the Viper Room, of course, the infamous Viper Room.
Uh-huh.
And then I played the Cat's Crawl like 2 weeks ago.
Do you have anything coming up?
June 12th at the Virgil. The flyer, I believe, the flyer's on my Instagram, the flyer's on my website, which is www.lara.fm. There's no .com, nothing. It's lara.fm.
I like it. I like it. So get your tickets soon. Fast.
Yeah, get your tickets.
Get them fast.
And the tickets are $15. So you can, if you want to come or you want to get a ticket for somebody, you can also do that as well. Just put it in the notes so I know. If you want to buy a ticket and then tell your friend, hey, you're on the guest list, that's as totally amazing as well too. Just email me, or in the ticket link when you PayPal, Venmo, whatever it is you're paying with, just put in for a friend for the show. Or if you want to donate to have somebody to come to the show for free, which I do all the time, people love that. Then you can buy a ticket for somebody else randomly who wants to go, that's here in LA, that can't afford it or whatever.
Very nice. Now we've got several people asking this incredibly important question.
Okay.
Did you ever find out who sent the flowers to you?
No. I believe when he said it, I said, from who? And I'm just so like, I just saw this guy has no idea. He's just like, I'm a delivery guy. Here's some flowers. I think he said Elizabeth something. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I can now reveal that I sent the flowers. You're welcome.
Lies.
I call myself Elizabeth when I do things anonymously like that, just to throw people off the track.
Well, Mark Bunker, I knew it. I knew this would come full circle.
There you go. Well, listen, Inez de Castro says, you are such an amazing being. She's crying right now. Lara moves me so much. Heart, heart, heart.
Thank
you.
All
right.
Takes one to know one.
Well, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, we can definitely do this again. I'm always down to talk to you, and I always have questions and stuff. I just wanted to see if I maybe on another one we could break down more details about the Lisa McPherson case, or if there's a interview or something that you've already broken it down with people. If it, like, in detail, like the cockroaches and when they went to bring them to the hospital and how they brought them all the way to another fucking hospital miles and miles away when there was literally a hospital right there. Things like that. I want to break that down so people know what happens when somebody who wasn't even against Scientology, they were just having mental illness, and Scientology was not the answer for it. And it drove her to kill herself, or for Scientology's absence to have her be killed. Anyway, so I just want to break that down because her death is so important. I feel, because I was a teenager in Clearwater when this was happening, shredding documents. I was that I was on when Mark Yeager. Okay, well, there we go. That's why I'm bringing up the whole Lisa McPherson thing. Is I was in CMO. I was 14 years old. I was put on the special project I was called a runner. I was a runner for the executives. So I was running. I was the assistant runner for the whole time that all these executives were in Clearwater dealing with this Lisa McPherson case. So here I am with all these ex-executives, some still in, Mark Yeager, all of them, shredding these documents that I have no idea, that I was just told not to even look at them and not to worry. And we trust you not to look at them. And even if I did look at them, when I do see, I remember this image of Lisa McPherson's body or something that was supposed to be her, and all the dots and all the I think it was from the report or something, where all the cockroaches like and the bruises were. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this looks weird. And I just remember being like, oh my God, the executives are really dealing with these SPs. But Kendrick Moxon, he was one of the lawyers that would be grabbing the suitcase or the folder, and it goes directly to the WB to bring it right to Marty Rathman or whoever the fuck was asking for it.
I do
So
have
I
an
was
interview with,
I was the little assistant on that. So I think,
yeah,
I feel like maybe the next interview or something that we do, we could really talk about the Lisa McPherson
sure.
case from your eyes, from my perspective, and just whoever,
Sure.
I don't know, some, just because that's important. We don't need more Lisa McPhersons to like really prove what the fuck our point is. We can take one of these deaths, multiple, there's so many deaths already, but Whitney Mills, all of this, like to break down how much corruption legally was done by Moxon, by all these lawyers, by people who falsified documents, they falsified statements, things like that. Like that needs to be exposed. That to me is so important because I really want to expose Moxon and get rid of his law, like get him banned from being in law.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah. I'm sure you love
He's
that.
he's one of the slimiest that I've encountered. I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of interviews with folks that I conducted myself about Lisa McPherson. I do have some TV shows from the period when the trial was ongoing, where you do see like the medical examiner Joan Woods and other folks involved. Like but Marty Rathbun does talk about how he was in charge of whisking people out of the country and making sure that documents were destroyed and all this kind of stuff, and the way, the great lengths that they went to put pressure on Joan Woods, the medical examiner, to change her opinion to accidental.
Joan Woods, that was who the medical examiner was.
Yeah.
See, there's a lot of things, and I probably just missed that reading something, but like, yeah, it would be really interesting to really get the real things that happen out of the mouths of people that actually did it. And so like, yeah. And here I am, was this like, a forced slave child, not being able to be a child, running and doing all these errands. And then during that time, there was also, every 2 months they'd have these big events at the Ruth Eckerd Hall, and I would be backstage, Method 7 word clearing Guillaume Lessev on his speech 10 minutes before he was supposed to go on, because David Miscavige was like, he's pathetic, can't even read his own fucking speech, because he was making fun of his accent. So it's just
what's
crazy.
That called? Method
M7 word clearing. It's just basically it's for illiterate or people, children or people who are foreign. But he used it as an insult, like, you're an idiot, so I'm gonna have this messenger, this young little messenger, Method 7 you, because it's just demeaning what he was doing. And I felt so bad for Guillaume Lessev. It's just crazy, but they're all just like, this is normal. This is just what happens around David Miscavige backstage at a fucking event.
Yeah. I did meet one of the people who was watching over Lisa on the Baby Watch a year or two ago. And he had just arrived in the country, and he didn't speak any English at that point. And he was put in the room with her to watch over her.
Wow. I remember that there were certain people that were not allowed on, or not, I just knew of it, that there were certain people when security, they had certain floors that were like special cases. And you don't know it as Sea Org members, even has housekeepers cleaning certain floors, unless you're specifically like, no, you're on floor 8 or 10 of whatever, not the ballroom, but the penthouse. The Cardones were always in the penthouse and things like that. So they would have specific floors and rooms that were specifically all camered up, wired up, ready for sec checks, interrogations all the time. Security, magnet locked, nobody can go in besides RTC, like things like that. And I'm assuming, I want to know like what room it was and who this guy you talked to, what's his name? Do I know him now later? You know what I mean? Like, did I know him later, and was he on a different post and I had no idea? I also was leaving the Sea Org after that. You asked me, going a fucking rampage. You asked me what was like one of the things when I was leaving, for the third time, I was put on, I went on route outlines, as they call it, but that's when you want to leave the Sea Org, you have to go on all this routing form, and it's the interrogation and physical work and like so many things before you can leave, before you have approval to leave. And I was working doing dry cleaning and laundry with Alon Kardazinski, who was the case supervisor for Lisa McPherson. And Dave, he told me himself, oh, I can't talk about it. But then as we got to know each other more during cleaning, and I was he's like, you're so capable. Wow. We became kind of close friends. And he was like, all right. He was like, you were at Int? I'm like, yeah, I don't like it. I told him, I was like, it's like a jail. And so he started telling me, it was like, well, I understand what you mean. You know, I'm not allowed to leave this post until the case is over. And you know about it. And I was like, well, I know about the case. You know, it was so weird that I was leaving and they'd always send people to the dry cleaning to do all the auditors' laundry that were on route outlines, or to do physical work, or do something that nobody wanted to do that would be helpful. Like, you know, do all the auditors' laundry that were staying up all night, or doing 5 sessions when, anyways. And he told me, well, you know, and I said, well, why? He said, in his way, what I remember hearing, being in the Sea Org at the time, fucking under routing, like leaving line. So I was like a piece of shit at this point. Even an RPFer was better than me, because at least they're trying to help themselves. But he was telling me like, well, I'm not going on. I would like to go on. I've asked them, I would like to go on the RPF and take responsibility for this. And he was told, well, I can't, because it'll look like it was some threat. Like Dave Miscavige said, we can't even put you on the fucking RPF for all the shit you've caused. Because if we did that in some way, it could come back that was your punishment for admitting that you were responsible for this person's death, because you were the case supervisor. But David Miscavige, Alon Kardazinski, told me David Miscavige was the one ordering all the things on her case without approval. And he was saying, this isn't standard. This isn't the right tech, which to me, I don't give a crap about. Oh, on Hubbard tech, it's garbage. But when you're brainwashed and in that mental state, he was a highly trained case supervisor, and he was telling Dave Miscavige, no, this isn't the right next thing to do. And he was like, no, ordering to keep her in the room. Don't let her go in or where she, you know, he was the one giving all the orders. So he is the fucking murderer. Let me just tell you that. He was the one responsible. The orders came from him. Alon Kardazinski told me that directly. But he said it was not okay. You know what he told me? He said, even if I have to do the RPF, I will do it. And I said, why? If you didn't do anything wrong, why? And he said, because I shouldn't have allowed him. I should have done the right thing, and I shouldn't have allowed him to change the tech. He fucking said that. He literally, but he was just being close with me, and he knew I was leaving, and I wasn't interested in any of this anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he died, I think, a year or two later from cancer.
A lot of that going around in Scientology.
Yeah. Oh, I was also going to talk to you about Jesse Prince.
Yeah.
And have you read his expert witness book? We could do all of it. This is what I wanted to talk about when we talk about all of the Lisa McPherson stuff.
I haven't read all of his book. I read through the LMT years.
Okay. It was interesting, not like unbelievable. That book is full of all kinds of important information legally. It's also a statement. It's like a legal actual, and I love that it's like something I can be like, well, I have, here's the evidence. This was written by Jesse Prince. It's called The Expert Witness. Like, it's just, anyway. So yeah, I really I'm very infatuated with learning about things that you guys have all been around and experienced in the times of when Mike Rinder was above OSA and running all of that during those years, because those were the years that I was developing my brain basically in whatever way that meant at 14, 15, running all these random orders, doing all these things that ended up being a part of something that today Kendrick mocks and likes to cover up and hide, that he was a part of that, a part of the cover up and lies of Lisa McPherson. So there's so much. The Expert Witness, I would recommend it for people watching. It's on Amazon by Jesse Prince. You're going to hear a lot about David Miscavige.
Did you see the 2 Jesse videos that I put up in the last week or so from the German filmmakers?
Yes, and that's
That's
where
a
I'm
great
just
story.
like, that's where I was like, oh my God, the Germans. We used to call them the Germans, the SP Germans.
All right, so we got plans for the next one. It was
Cool.
fun. I really enjoyed talking with you.
You too.
And I think
You're awesome.
I think
I watch your I watch your shows. You have more information than people realize, because your people outside are only hearing whatever you're hearing, and they're going, oh my God, and people inside are hearing what you're saying, and they're going, oh my God, we have more information from the inside. And so, like, there's so many angles that you are so helpful in, and I just really
it's always exciting to hear about what was happening in Scientology while we were roaming the streets of Clearwater, for example.
Yeah, literally.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I had a wonderful time. I think everybody who's been watching has as well. I've been seeing nothing but positive comments. None of these "bunker you suck" comments are popping up here.
It's because Kelly BC has been deleting all of them.
There you go. That's what she's good at.
At least for mine, I'm sure.
She protects me from everybody.
Good, as it should be.
Yeah. And thank you, Kelly, for everything that you've done and do on every one of these streams. I really appreciate you being here. And I look forward to chatting with you again. And we will see all of you on our own live streams very soon.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
Thank
everybody.
You, Mark.
Thank you.
Xenu TV.
Bye.
What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Your crimes are hidden, they should be seen. Spin all out, Mark, and just come clean.